This presentation will introduce creative inquiry from ideation to implementation. Let me introduce myself. Building on my studio arts degrees, in the past 20 years, I've added writing and education to my list of major concerns. I retired from full-time teaching in 2017 and am now in the process of completing a Fulbright Fellowship for Canada. This slide gives my rationale for writing this book and the approach I used. Notably, when I taught creative inquiry at Florida State University, I couldn't find a suitable text and struggled to determine the best sequence of assignments. I needed an active learning, interdisciplinary approach that was relatable and would work for all majors. The course I developed and taught was transformative, especially for students in STEM fields, and I became convinced that students in all majors can benefit greatly from creativity coursework. Creative inquiry is packed with information, yet it is concise and inexpensive. It begins with a series of brief warm-up exercises that help non-art majors practice with inquiry-based teaching and learning. Band-aids are an everyday example of using curiosity to spark new ideas, understand problem variables, and determine criteria for success. Students are encouraged to create and use their own rubrics to check their progress. Here's an example for the Band-Aid assignment. The next section offers more extensive challenges that deal with user needs, degrees and types of innovation, the importance of problem definition, and targeted research. The next two sections focus on expanding and then selecting ideas. In this book, I consistently emphasize connections between creative and critical thinking. Developing dozens of ideas accomplishes little if we can't figure out which ones may best solve a problem. Specific ideation and selection topics are listed in this slide. And by the way, the Martin Luther King images are part of a section called Technological Transfer. King's speech began in written form, was delivered verbally, was filmed in Washington, D.C., and has taken many other forms, including postage stamps. Students gain a lot from mentors and creative heroes. So the next section consists of 7 interviews with brilliant exemplars of creativity. Engineering, entrepreneurship, chemistry, education, medicine, design, film, and creative writing are among the disciplines represented. This book is well suited to first-year seminars and other content-driven writing courses. So it includes 5 self-reflection papers that help students understand and embrace their own learning process, plus a more extensive written capstone assignment. I will now describe one of the creative strategies offered in the book. It is called expanding the bandwidth. One of the primary qualities that distinguish highly creative people from those less creative is the capacity to explore a wider than usual range of ideas. The most creative people don't just think outside the box, they think way outside the box. One way to generate a wider range of solutions is to break down a problem into at least 4 or 5 components. Just as sliders can give us a way to increase or diminish components of music, so we can use the same idea to expand the bandwidth in any problem we want to solve. As shown here, with an art project, we might expand color possibilities using variations in hue, which means like, is it red, blue, green, and so forth. Value, which refers to the lightness or darkness of a color, let's say the difference between a bright sky blue and a dark midnight blue. Intensity, which refers to the purity of a color, let's say the difference between a dull brick red and a brilliant fire engine red. And opacity. There are hundreds of options within each of these categories, and the possibilities expand even further when several options are combined. For example, the source image is the same in each case here, but the results are quite different due to the color choices. I'll use a simple poster design problem to demonstrate this further. Let's say the poster consists of 4 components: a photo of a man, a photo of some boats, the main header, and a block of body text. Each of these components can be varied in many ways, as with these options for the man. And look at these options for the boats. Please note that for best results, it is important to expand the bandwidth beyond what you think will work. The middle image in this case may be totally unsuitable, but until I see it, I don't know that. In this slide, we experiment with various sizes, colors, and fonts for the text. And here we start organizing the components to create drafts of the actual poster. We want to make choices from our many options to best communicate our ideas. I believe the tan poster does so pretty effectively, but what do you think of that orange poster? Yikes! Assessing the results can also be done based on bandwidth. Generally, a series of assignment objectives are stated pretty clearly from the outset. When I teach poster design, I ask each student to make your writing clear, concise, informative, make the text easy to read, modify the images effectively, create a balanced layout, and use a style that is appropriate to the content. These criteria can then be placed in a rubric, providing a 1 to 5 scale and a section for comments and recommendations, as shown here. I've used a visual arts example here, but this approach to creative inquiry can be applied to just about any problem in any discipline. For example, when writing a short story, an author typically considers a range of main characters, settings, and events. It will be a very different story if the main character is an 80-year-old man versus a 10-year-old child. And a carpenter who is building a chair must consider the qualities of different kinds of wood, the complexity of the construction relative to the sales price, the style of the chair, who's going to use it, and so forth. We actually use bandwidth every day. For most creative results, it is important to expand beyond what we think will work. Sticking with familiar solutions tends to result in obvious or commonplace results. We don't know what is going too far until we go too far. For more information on this book, contact Kate or Michelle at SUNY Press or me, as shown here. And if you want to see this full table of contents, just stay tuned for the next few slides. So here's the full table of contents. There's an introduction, the warm-up exercises, the creativity challenges, the ideation strategies, selection strategies, the capstone project, which includes examples from multiple disciplines, the interviews with the innovators, a section on how to connect your coursework to career, including a very useful section on internships that one of my former interns developed alongside me. Then there's the appendix on ways to strengthen your writing, glossary, resources, and so forth. Thank you.